That's how she talks.
Okay, y'all look up here. Alright, we're not making noises. None of that. Okay, look up here. Your bell ringer is on the board, so y'all be thinking about that. Think back to the kingdom that you... I'm going to wait on you. Think back to the kingdom you chose yesterday. Why is location important when deciding where to live? So you chose kingdom, so we're not raising our hand right now. You're just thinking. Giving y'all time to think. So you chose your kingdom. You chose which kingdom you wanted to live in, and you had to tell me why. So now think about why location was important. You decided your kingdom based on where it was, what was around it, what kind of resources it had. So think back to that. Y'all be thinking about why the location was important to you. Okay, somebody raise their hand and tell me why they think. Laura.
Well, so I think my location was important because it had gold and food and it had a good size of land and it had a lot of rivers as well and it was close to some other kingdoms that I could.
So Laura's kingdom that she chose, she said they had fruits and vegetables, gold. She noticed that it was a large area of land, so she wants a place that has a large amount of land, possibly for farming and that sort of thing. And she also said that it's close to other kingdoms. So why is it a good thing if you're close to other kingdoms that have other things than you? Brianna. Okay, well who can tell me? Jared? Yeah, so you can trade resources. So if you have mostly fruits and vegetables, and the kingdom next door to you has a lot of gold, they're known for their gold. Y'all listen. Yeah, you can go up to your neighbor. Hey, y'all want to trade? I'll give you some fruit, some fresh fruit. I'll give you some gold. So y'all get the idea. Yes.
Okay, so if you actually think about it, most people just pick slabs because it's a big state. Well, if you actually think about it, I chose, you know what I meant, kingdom. I chose like a small kingdom. It wasn't that big because if you choose, then I think it's the best because like there's a water source nearby. And then like I think if you get a big kingdom, I believe if you get a big kingdom, people just gonna target you and try to take your land because you have so much land. And people try to go and try to steal your land and then you target it because you're like such a big kingdom.
Yeah, that's true too. That's something to think about.
Like the Roman Empire, it was so big, and barbarians were invading, and people were breaking in and stuff like that.
So you have to think about all that stuff whenever you're... Okay, y'all stop that. I gotta take those up. That's from yesterday.
Yeah, stop.
We gotta move on to the next activity.
Yeah.
Gotta take these up. Alright, I'll go ahead and take those.
Why not take damage?
Okay, y'all. So location is super important to think about when you're picking a place. Y'all listen. You're wasting your time by talking. I don't think you want homework over the weekend, do you?
No.
I don't want to get to see you. Okay, so y'all listen for me. If you listen and just focus in for a little while, we can get started on the activity and you'll get to finish it. So, location is important. What if your kingdom is not near any water? What if you're just in the middle of a kingdom? You're not near any water. It takes you a long, long time to get to water. What kind of problems might you have, Scott?
You may have resource problems, like
you would be able to have other resources, but like you'd spend a lot of resources on making wells for groundwater.
Yeah. So you need water. People wanted their kingdoms to be close to water, and that's why you learned during the Four River Valleys, your first unit, that all the settlements were set up along rivers so that they could have water. What else did the rivers provide?
They had fish.
They have fish in the water, so that provides
And
food.
I also had a river on mine, so that's why.
They had boats.
I had lots of rivers.
Transportation, yes, traveling, and it also allowed them to water their crops with that water.
I hear my two.
Okay, y'all look up here now.
Everybody
Everybody look over here. So we just did our bell ringer, and that was also a review of your activity yesterday, the crumbling kingdoms. So that you did that, you picked your kingdoms, and then now I'm going to tell you about today's activity, which is the Feudal Society. I'll go over the expectations for you and show you the rubric for that, and then you'll get started. And there is an ed puzzle that you'll start out with. And if you get finished with all that, then at the end you can work on your blog, which would be your first post of the second 9 weeks.
Oh, good.
And your learning target is to describe each level in the feudal diagram. So by the end of class, you'll be able to tell me the different levels of the diagram, and you'll learn that in just a minute.
How many posts do you need?
Okay, so now let's move on to an introduction on today's lesson. Move back to. So the introduction is, you need to think about this. Everybody, you've got your thinking caps on. If you need to close your eyes and imagine this, then you can do that. So imagine that you are a king or a queen in the Middle Ages. If you were a king or queen in the Middle Ages, what would your responsibilities be? Who are you in charge of, and what would your life be like? You're thinking right now, you're not raising your hand. So think about what your life would be like if you were a king or queen in the Middle Ages. Who would you be responsible for, or what would you be responsible for? What kind of life would you be living? Would it be a good life? Would it be a rough life? And then think, what if you were a peasant in the Middle Ages? If you were a peasant, what are your duties? And who do you have to answer to? And what would your life be like? So if you were a peasant, what would your life be like compared to what it would be like if you were a king or queen? So I'll just think for a second. There's some big differences there, so y'all think about what the differences are and how you would feel if you were in that category. Okay, somebody from this group, tell me, if you were a king or queen, what kind of responsibilities would you have?
You would have like responsibilities of like how to manage your food and how to keep supplies and how to trade and keep peace with other kingdoms.
So when you're a king or queen, you're in charge. You definitely have to figure out, you talk with the other kingdoms and figure out, you know, how that's going to work. Yeah, so they're in charge of that. Emma?
I think, most of your responsibility would be keeping your people in check and your army in check and, like, how much you're trading with other countries, because other countries might think, oh, well, they're trading way too much with this other country, and I'm not getting traded with them, like, at all. So maybe they're trying to avoid me because of that trade. And maybe they're just trying to not anger me because of something they've done with the trading. Or, like, something like that. Like, you would have to be really careful with trading and your relationships with other countries, as well as your military. Your military would be a big concern.
Yes, the kings and queens are in charge of all of that. They're in charge of making sure your military is on track, doing what they should be doing. You're trying to keep peace with other countries or other kingdoms. Anyway, from this side of the room, what about if you were a peasant? What are your duties, or what kind of life would you live? How would you feel?
Well, with this one, as a peasant, I'm comparing this to if I was a king or a queen, and then like I'm ruling, but I'm also a peasant, I would be rich.
You'd be rich as a peasant?
Yeah, because the king, if I was a king, I would make sure all my people are happy. And
Okay, so I see what you're saying. He's thinking that if he was a king,
He would give his peasants money.
he would make sure his peasants had. Okay, I see where you're coming from. If you were a peasant with little money, what kind of life would you be living? Like, who? First of all, who do you answer to? Do you have a boss?
You answer to the king.
Yeah, you answer to the king or queen. That's your boss man or woman. And what would your life be like? So would you be living a good life or probably a rough life? A rough life? Does anybody, let me ask you this. Last class we had a really interesting comment. So raise your hand if you think a king or queen would live a really nice life. Raise your hand. Good life?
Yeah, they're king and queen.
They're king and queen, so yeah, that'd be pretty cool, right?
if they get most of their money, you don't have as much like they sell, and they would probably give it some to their military, but they'll keep most of it. Like,
Yeah, so you might think that'd be a pretty good life, right? I mean, yeah, you might think, I'd love to be a queen or a king. That'd be awesome. Also, y'all listen, so raise your hand if you think it would be a rough life. So now you're kind of thinking it might be rough. And let's name some reasons that it might be rough. Just let's give 3 reasons. Brianna. Oh, sorry, this is Brianna.
It would be a really rough life because you would have to take care of the whole entire country, making sure everyone's safe.
Yeah, that's a lot of responsibility. So even though you might think it's a good life, like, yeah, I'm the queen or the king, you're responsible for a lot of people and a lot of different things. And anything that goes wrong, they're going to look at you and say, well, you're the king or queen, so that's on you. That was up to you to decide or figure out.
that would be the hardest part.
You want to add something?
You get put under like a whole bunch of stress.
Yeah, it might be hard to live your daily life if you're just always stressing about all the work you have to do, right? Okay, thank y'all. Go ahead and put your hands down.
Exactly. That was only 2.
But you also get everything for free too.
No, we don't.
If you do something wrong and anger your people, then they can just kick you out like bam.
No, they can't just kick you out. They have to revolt, and you have to.
All right. So y'all listen up so I can explain the activity now. Y'all did awesome having that discussion about this activity, so I think you'll do fine. Okay. I want to draw your face. Jaden.
Please stop. Yeah, please.
Show his face.
It was. Yeah.
Okay, so everybody look at these papers. Okay, thank you. Everybody look at your paper. This paper is going to have your directions on it. Look at your paper. This is where your directions will be for your activity. So let's look at it. Let me read the beginning for you, and you can read along with me.